In this video, I want to introduce to you a simple vibe coding process. I'm not really happy with the name vibe coding, but that's the one that seems to have stuck. What I'm really doing is AI assisted coding, but let's just call it vibe coding for now because that's just much easier. So I don't think vibe coding is particularly difficult, and I think it's just one of these things that when you sit down to do it, it'll probably make much more sense. Sure, if you have a technical background, it's probably even easier, and if you're coming from a coding background, then it's probably even easier still. I have something of a technical background coming from physics, but I was never really great at coding. I was much better at maths. Does that help me? Yeah, it probably helps a bit to at least have understood some code beforehand, to understand some of the words, phrases, ideas, concepts, whatever. Perhaps more so than the next person, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary to understand what to do. So on the screen, what I have is a very, very straightforward meta process. This is really sort of high level. Planning, doing, checking, and then acting. It should be a very familiar cycle process of plan, do, check, act. Here it's plan the project, write the code, check the result, and then make fixes. And then start again, and you plan the next stage, and so on and so forth. So I'm actually going to do a little bit of live demonstration in this. I've got some slides I prepared, but I think I'm probably going to skip most of them because I'm end up going to spend too much time, and it probably isn't going to be that interesting, and some fantastic background noise here. Let's hope it doesn't stick. Let's be a little bit more specific with the actual plan of what I do and how I think it works. You actually have choice to vary what I'm saying here. You don't have to stick to this perfectly rigidly, right? So I go to ChatGPT to write my documents. You could also use Gemini, you can also use Claude. Doesn't really matter, but let me just talk about it in the way that I do it. So let's start with ChatGPT. I go there, I write a spec doc and a plan doc. This is what I ask for. Then I come to my IDE of choice, which is Windsurf. You could choose Cursor. You could even choose the CLI tools. To some extent, it doesn't matter. This is what I like, and so this is what I'm going to show you. You're going to ask the LLM to read the documents, to understand the documents, to ask it to reconcile the two, make sure that the two are coherent. You're then going to ask it to write the code, which it will do. Then you're going to check the results. You're going to run the app, of course, as you'd expect. And then if you have any errors, then you feed those errors back into the LLM and you ask it to fix the errors. Or if there's something that you don't quite like, perhaps it's positioning or perhaps it's color, whatever it is, these are things that are going to come up, and then you're just going to ask to the AI in natural language, can you change this? Can you fix this? You can also make changes to the code yourself if you're confident with that. So I have in mind a very simple task that I hope is going to work. I haven't prepared this. I haven't really walked through it, planned it properly. I'm going to try and do this in an authentic way to show you how I would do it, how I think about it, which means that I might make a mistake, and I'm hoping that I can do this more or less in one take. So I'm inside ChatGPT. Here we are, 2025. It's October when I'm recording this. I've got ChatGPT and it's GPT-5, and I'm going to say, okay, what do I want to do? I wish to create a new web app. I don't know, something like a to-do list. It's going to be very simple, whatever. So this is not particularly exciting. This is all, natural language. I'm talking to almost as if though I would talk to a human. So I'm telling it what I want to do. I want to create a web app. I'm going to do it in JavaScript. You don't necessarily have to say JavaScript. You could just say I want to create a web app, and it will suggest to you, oh, have you tried JavaScript? Or maybe it will suggest some other language. Probably not. It will pick technologies for you if you get stuck. You can create desktop apps, you can create web apps, you can create mobile apps, whatever you want. All of it should work pretty well. I haven't done too much outside of the web. A little bit with, say, Python, which you could argue is a desktop app. I find that LLMs are pretty good with Python and they're pretty good with JavaScript. So here we are. So simple app. What I need from you is a spec document yeah, I mean, you could go into a lot more detail. I don't know. I think if you were writing a more complex app, you might have more requests. Like you're creating a game, so you might say, oh, there's going to be multiplayer, or you need authentication. I'm not going to bother with authentication here. There's lots of things that you could do to make your to-do list app very complicated, but I don't think that's really necessary right now. We do want a spec doc. So, yeah. Is there anything else off the top of my head I think that we're missing? Well, we're going to have a plan doc afterwards, and then we're going to go into the IDE. So for now, let's keep it as this. Let's give it a try. And then let's see how fast it is. So it's thinking. Shouldn't take too long. And then it should be able to spit out. Now it's interesting here that it's chosen to think rather than just give an automatic response. Because inside ChatGPT, as you probably know, with the latest version with GPT-5, there is some sort of auto routing where it decides whether it wants to use the really fast version or whether it wants to use the thinking version. Okay, let's see. So, yeah, 0 backend, which is fine. You're going to persist all in local storage. You can design it for a mobile app later with a PWA, progressive web app. And so here it's got some core features. I'm hoping that this won't be too complicated. Data model, storage schema. It all looks fairly simple. Nothing really jumping out which is going to be wrong. Maybe there is something sort of lurking in here which is stupid. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes ChatGPT will make the wrong suggestion, or it will suggest something overly complicated or something that doesn't quite work. You should be able to catch that later whenever you get to the IDE and you ask for a document reconciliation. That's what I call it. So here we are. Great. Yak, and it looks like it's fairly happy to do that. This is actually much longer of a spec document, I think, than the last one that it created for me when I was creating a much more complicated app. It's going to 17 sections. This is kind of, okay, it's actually sketching out a really sort of lightweight version of it, which is kind of funny. Sure, whatever. Great. And so down here you might see there is the little boxes for copying. I'm going to copy this. I am going to, I'm going to jump inside here. This is my folder that I created just moments ago, and I'm going to call it spec.md, which is a markdown document. Here on Linux I have already a text editor that's happy with markdown, so copy and paste. There's a little bit of HTML in there. It should be fine. It should work. It should render. It should be everything. In fact, you can take out this very last part because it's often just some comment. Go back here. I'm going to open it, double click it, and you can see that it's rendered the markdown. Now, do you have something on like Mac? Because I know a lot of people use Macs these days. I want to believe that there should be some native program that already reads markdown for you and displays it like this. So you can see that it does. There's some questions. Great, whatever. So that's the spec document done, saved locally. That's on my computer. We're going to go back to ChatGPT and we're going to say, okay, great. I mean, to be honest, you probably don't need a plan document for something so simple, but it's even got a little bit of a testing plan. It's not an implementation plan. Let's ask for an implementation plan anyway, because that's what you do if you have a more complicated app. A spec document would say, this is what I want, whereas an implementation plan would be how to do it. So like, step 1, we're going to create the back end. Step 2, we're going to create the front end. I mean, something more complicated than that, but you kind of get the idea. Great. Now let's create an implementation plan for this app. Thanks. And it's going to go away. It's going to think about it, and it's going to come up with the implementation plan. And again, this is the how, while the spec is the what. And then I'm going to take these two documents into Windsurf. As I said, I'm going to ask it to do a reconciliation, so just to kind of reiterate the ideas, the message I'm having. and then I'm going to ask it to write some code. So we're about 10 minutes or so into this video. This is obviously a very quick, simple app. If you have a more complicated app, then this part will take much longer. Of course it will, right? It's spitting out a bunch of things. What does it say? Project setup, milestones. I expect this to be hilariously simple. It's adding a lot more detail than I thought it would, but which is fine. You kind of want it to be detailed. You want to see it do something, make it look like it's smart, right? This looks fine. There's lots of cool things that you could add to it. I mean, it is a simple app, but there's always little tricks and things that you could do to make it quicker, faster, more powerful. Multi-platform. Okay, great. Ooh. So even remembering testing, I found in the past that often tests are not the strong point of LLMs. Sometimes it suggests it, but often it doesn't. There are ways to work around that, and I know some people have made more in-depth processes than the one that I'm presenting, ones which will have more of a test-driven design, whereas this is a very simple plan-driven method. So let me just have a quick look here. Yep. I mean, I'm not going to show all of this in the video, right? So to some extent it doesn't matter what it says. It could be somewhat garbage towards the end, but we're just going to go through the same process. Here I am back inside here. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to call this implementation plan.md. Great. And then just so you can see what I'm doing, I use this thing called Kate because that's what I have inside of my Ubuntu. You may have something different or not at all. I'll just do a quick double check just for rough sanity that it doesn't look like it's all twisted and messed up. It actually looks alright. Great, cool. So to some extent don't need that anymore. I can now jump inside Windsurf. Now Windsurf is an IDE which is a fork of VS Code. From memory it is about $20. I think the raw charge is $15 a month, but then there's taxes on top of that. Depending where you're living, the taxes will be more or less. For me, living in Europe, I have to pay VAT, so the VAT gets added onto it, meaning that it's around $20. I'm not sure what it is in the US. It might be cheaper, I don't know. So around $20 is what I'm paying. VS Code may well be open source. However, you're paying the plan for the AI assistance. You're paying for the requests, shall we say. So here we are. This is us inside Windsurf. This will look very much like VS Code. On the left side, you've got your two documents. So this is all of the files in our project. At the moment, we only have two files, obviously. In the middle is where we would look at the files. So if I double click one, for example, the spec, it comes up. Double click implementation, and it also comes up. You can see that in the middle. Your other files will start to populate in here when we start to get like HTML files and JavaScript files will also populate in this left column. And yeah, and then we're going to go over to the AI on the right side, and we're going to say to it something like, I have started a new project. Oh, can't spell project. Please look at these two documents and tell me if you understand them. Yeah, I'm just going to fix that typo because it's the sort of thing that would bug me. And it's going to go away, it's going to think, and it's going to read them. I'll read your documents. I'm using Claude 4.5 just for reference. It comes up at a 2x token cost at the moment inside Windsurf. I was about to say Cursor, but Cursor is basically the same, by the way, as Windsurf. Both work the same. Both are pretty good. Both are about the same. I'm with Windsurf because of the charging structure. Cursor have a new charging structure that they introduced a couple of months ago, and they made it more expensive. They also lock you out essentially of being able to access the LLMs once your credits run out. With Windsurf, I can buy top-up credits, and that's what I like. So if I burn through $20, I can then add on another $10 and then another $10 or whatever. And that just lets me keep going as much as I need to. If I have a busier month where I need more requests, then I can get them. So what do we have on the right side? So it's reading them. Yep, looks fine. Okay, so this is really what I do. Even with more complicated projects, this is really what I do. I ask it to understand, and it's done that. I then say, great, please check if there are any inconsistencies with these two documents. Please help me to reconcile them if there are any discrepancies. Bingo bango. And hopefully it's going to go, okay, yep, these things look like they're about good, or it might be that, oh, there's a couple of inconsistencies, therefore I suggest that you fix that before we get started. And this is always a good sanity check, because whenever ChatGPT spits out two documents, it might be that they're pretty close, but it might be that they're not exactly where they should be. So there may be questions like, oh, you've said in one place that you want to use Python, but then in the other place you've said JavaScript. Generally, it doesn't quite happen like that. It might be that ChatGPT is throwing up an option like, you may want to do this in Python instead. You may want your back end to be in Python, whereas the front end is going to be in JavaScript. And because it's suggested it as a option, as a this or that, sometimes Claude, when I've asked it about documents, says, oh, you've got this in here where you've got something confusing, where it's not really a confusion, it was an option. But it's also nice, I guess, just to iron that out. So what has it said? Let's have a look. I mean, this is just obviously spat out a lot of things. And you would, if doing this properly, you would probably read through it and say, okay, well, what has it actually said? And then try to understand what it's saying. A lot of times you can skip it. It just depends what it looks like. You'll develop a bit of a sixth sense as to what smells right and to what doesn't smell right. I'm just going to say, please do it as you see fit. I wouldn't really recommend this. I would, to some extent, it's going to be fine because it's going to make the suggestions and you're going to see the diff. And then you can accept or reject whenever the diffs pop up. Some of these, you can actually ask it, okay, give me a series of questions and I will answer these series of questions. So it'll say, like, question 1, do you want to do A, B, or C? And then you put, okay, I want to do A. And then for question 2, I'm going to go with B, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it's spitting out. And now I'll update the implementation plan to fix the CSS. So this is actually going to be changing your documents for you. So inside here, as you see, it's popping up now, hopefully on screen. You'll see the green and the red. The red is what was before, and the green is what's coming now. If you're a coder, if you've been doing this for a while, then you probably know this is a diff, and you're probably already familiar with this. I point it out as someone, if you're watching this and you've never done this before, and you've got no idea about how any of this works. You're going to say, oh, well, what does this mean? And if you hover over it, you'll see there's a little accept reject button. You can also see at the very bottom there's an accept file, so you can accept all of the stuff. Can also do that, accept. I'm just doing a little bit of a look just to see if there's anything which might be a bit silly. Okay, it's going to run the server and a one-liner. Sure. Looks great. Let's assume that it is. Please get started. Like, please get started with coding, basically. If there was any doubts or if there was any questions that you had, you could add in, okay, before you get started, please check this or please check that or whatever. You can see here in Windsurf, and I don't quite remember if this is true of Cursor, obviously the two apps are updating themselves all of the time, so new features, etc. You can see here it's got this task list inside Windsurf, which is quite nice. And this is something that kind of helps to show the progress. This is good. There are some files that you wouldn't want to upload to GitHub. Again, if you're someone who's got a coding background, then you're going to know all about this. There's just certain files that you don't want to upload to GitHub, maybe because you've got some sensitive information like API keys. They're basically sensitive, special, not like passwords or anything. You really shouldn't be storing passwords like this. You might have password hashes, I suppose, while you're testing, but API keys are going to be linked to your account, say with OpenAI or with Claude or whatever, and there'll be some financial money attached to those accounts, which you'd let people send requests to an LLM on your behalf, and you'll be paying for it. So generally good to not comment out, to ignore the env file, for example, and other ones. There's also things like certain files that you will install so your app can run, but you definitely don't need to upload those to GitHub, and that's why you would put those onto the ignore list. So where are we? It's got a bunch of files that it's created. It's got an src folder that it's created. It's got some JavaScript files that it's created now. So these are obviously files that I didn't create, right? You sat here, you've been watching me blabbling, and you can see on the right hand side that AI is producing all of these files for you. It's created its own JavaScript, it's created an HTML file, it's created a license, which I actually didn't see that before, because I think previously, okay, MIT license, whatever. It's a fairly permissive license, it's fine, it's going to be open source. This is such a silly kind of fake app almost anyway. I'm just going to accept this because whatever. You can see that these files have been popping up. This is Windsurf's, and probably the same with Cursor. It's the behavior that it has naturally. It just creates these files and it pops them up in front of you. There isn't really much for me to say about it. I'm going to assume that this code is good. I mean, this is like a few hundred lines of code that's come out in one go, and that's from just one file. You can have thousands of lines of code written at the one time. When I say at one time, let me be a little bit careful, I guess, in how I say that. On the right side, I've made one prompt to ask for code. Yeah, great. Let's get started. And you can see that AI is working, creating several files, and there's probably a little bit of back and forth here. It's probably not just like one single request. In the background of Windsurf, we don't really see how the requests are handled, but in my intuition, I'm thinking that you send out the request, there'll be a bunch of tool calls. This is essentially an AI coding agent, right? So this is agentic, and the AI will say, okay, I'm going to use these tools to, for example, create a file, and then once the file is created, I'm going to populate that file with text or with code. For example, there's a README file. So you can see that, again, from a single prompt of please get started, it has created a whole bunch of code without me really doing anything, which I think is pretty cool. And it could be thousands of lines of code from such a single simple prompt. Now, does the code work? Well, we don't know yet. I hope that it does. And there's a very good chance that it does. If there's any syntax problems, then you can ask it, oh, by the way, you misspelled something, or there's a missing bracket or whatever. AI is actually really good about seeing that and fixing it well before before you even have to think about it. That's one of the great things about it. People get really upset with AI that, the code is really bad, blah 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 blah. But okay, this is a test file. But is it really? If you look at this code, does it look messy to you? Perhaps if you're some sort of coding guru, you'd be like, oh yeah, this is like terrible, you should never do spacing or tabbing like this. But to me, as a noob, and genuinely as I'm not a particularly great coder or anything, to me it looks neat. This looks fine to me. This looks well structured. It's better than what I would do as basically as a non-coder, somewhat technical but non-coder. Great. So I'm fairly happy with all of this. I think it looks fine. I'm just having a quick look through just to see if there's anything which might be obvious. I guess it doesn't really matter. So let's have a look on the right side. Let's have a look at what the AI is saying. It's saying, do you want to run this Python server on port 5173? And I'm going to say, all right, sure, why not? And it's running, and that means that you could actually open the index.html file and see a functioning website. He says, except he doesn't see it. Is it going to be inside the source folder? Huh? Okay, sorry, this is completely unexpected. Why is it not there? Oh, is it in public? Yeah, okay. Open browser. All right, give me. To be honest, I don't always use this system browser that it pops up. It does from time to time, but I will do it this time to see what it suggests, see what it does. It's going to open it in Mozilla. Sure. Oh, this is the live slides thing that I was working on, that I was telling you about earlier, whenever I'm creating my slides. And here we are. It looks horrible. I'll be honest. Let's have a look. And it fails. I actually have a different app running on that, but I actually thought I stopped it. Ooh, yes, okay. Yeah, so I have my other app here, which I coded, which is running on the same port that I forgot about. Yeah, maybe that's causing conflict, and I never really thought about it. There we go. Something so simple. Oh! So my presentation was already running on that port, and that was inside the other Windsurf. Often what happens whenever you try to run something on the same port within Windsurf, if you've got a server running already, it will say, oh, that port has been running, therefore let me check the next port up. In this case, because I had two separate Windsurf instances open, it didn't realize. That said, it can also check to see if which port is open, which ones are being used. It can do that, and that's kind of the magic of agentic I was about to say agentic AGI, which is obviously wrong. Agentic AI is that it can run tools and perform these tasks and figure out whether a port is open already or whether it's in use, and therefore make another suggestion. So here we have a very simple app. Now, is this a design that I particularly like? No, it's okay. It's not great. We have a light and dark mode working already inside plain JavaScript. That's perfect. So, let's test task 1. Oh, and here we go. And it looks like it's working. So, this is us in a single take that we've created this app. We've started with the spec docs inside ChatGPT. We came to Windsurf, we reconciled them, and then we ran the app. We saw there was an error. I made a mistake myself, of course, as well, so that is also kind of down to me. And now we have a running app. It's something very simple. You can, right, okay, yeah, of course, it's a checkbox to say you've done the task. It's a to-do list. Press N to do a new task. Alright, let's give that a try. Oh, and the N button works. Let's say test task 2, as you might expect, and it pops up. And can you order them around? Oh, actually, let me add one more. So it's test task 3, and let's see how it is. Can you reorder it? Does it let you do that drag and drop? No way, does it? No, it doesn't seem to work. That would be an interesting one to add. Would be obviously to being able to rearrange them inside the interface. Oh, you can. Oh, interesting. I didn't know you could do that in plain JavaScript. I thought you had to use some other library. In another app that I created, I had to install this drag and drop library, which I think was created by Salesforce. And it was a real pain in the ass to get set up and to get it going. And it shows you that it's completed. Interesting, you can even search tasks. I wonder if this works. Task 3. Oh, and this search works. And this is all within plain JavaScript. So I'm actually kind of pleasantly surprised that it works, and I'm glad that it does. And this was with no preparation beforehand. I hope that this is being a useful video. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like, subscribe, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Thank you very much.